Alright, sorry if the audio of this is not good. I'm not using my usual mic, but let's do this. Alright, so competitive cards. Most players, well, if you're going to play competitively, I recommend you have a competitive collection. You have cards you deliberately hold on to for the purpose of using in tournaments and stuff, to put them in decks so you can use them. Some people save some of these cards mainly for side decking. I like a combination of both side deck and main deck cards to be to hold on to. Some cards are good to hold on to just in case, because they could be competitive, you know what I mean? Whether you make them competitive or somebody else makes them competitive, it's a good idea to hold on to these types of cards. You know, for example, the band played on is a good card. You can just tell by reading its effect. Either player can special summon monsters at the same level as the monsters they control. Either player can special summon monsters with the same rank as the monsters they control. So, obviously right off the bat, this is pretty decent against Zodiacs, because once they summon a rank 4 Zodiac monster on top of a Zodiac monster, they can't summon another rank 4 Zodiac monster on top of that rank. So right there, this can be used against Zodiacs. Another card that can be used against Zodiacs, which looks like I don't even have it there. That's a card that's supposed to be there. Throw it in there. Should be in there. Oh, yes it is. It's right there. I just didn't see it up here. Put it move over here so I can see it easier. Alright, summon limit. So obviously summon limit makes it where neither player can summon more than twice per turn. So if they summon a Zodiac monster, you know, one of the main deck ones, and then they summon one of the Exceed monsters on top of it, that's 2 summons, no more than special. And you activate this, and then boom, since they already performed 2 summons that turn, as long as this card plays up, they can't perform no more. So that right there will have the same, you know, result as end of them played on. And since they're traps, you wait until until they actually summon one of the XYZs on top of one of their Zodiac monsters, and then play. That way it stops them right there in the tracks, so they can't go any further. But let's start from the beginning. The idea is that most players don't have competitive collections because they follow the trend. You know what I mean? They knit deck, so they'll either buy a deck or they'll buy the individual cards later. Once certain cards become playable, becomes good. Like Betty's Emptiness, you know what I mean? Betty's Emptiness was a common, it was cheap, a whole bunch of people had them, but they got rid of them because they saw no value at the time. But once it became valuable, when it became useful competitively, that's when the demand came for it, and a lot of people didn't even have it. So then they wanted to go get it. So they had to pay more than if they were to hold on to the Betty's Emptiness. You know, I had a considerable amount of Betty's Emptiness, so I saw value in the card, but I never actually needed to play it myself, so I sold off my Betty's Emptinesses. But I saw the value in its playability. I just have no need to stop my opponent from special summoning at that time. Now it's like, yeah, you want to stop people from special summoning, because now people are special summoning way too much. So that's why we need some alternatives to Betty's Emptiness, since Betty's Emptiness is limited to 1, or is it banned? Do you remember it's limited to 1? Yeah, it got banned. Alright, so it's banned, so now we need a substitute for it, right? So that's what the ban played on. Summon limit comes into play, because it will help reduce your opponent's ability to special summon a lot. And trying to reduce how many times they can summon, especially if they need to summon a lot in order to establish a powerful board that, you know, that's unbreakable basically, right? It'd be hard for you to beat. So I don't want you to end up in a situation where your opponent can create an unbreakable board, and you could have easily prevented it with like cards like this. I'm not going to explain every card in here because that'll take too much time. The idea is just to show a small collection, because this collection is just a watered down version of the list of cards that I like to keep on hand, so I can use, for example, holding on to Georgian Spiritualist, Fossil Diana, the Barrier Statues, DD Crow, Volcanic Counter. These are good competitive cards because of what they can do, and you want to win, right? You want to always reduce your points to 0. So Volcanic Counter is really good in any fire attribute deck, like Infernoids, the Volcanic decks themselves, or any other fire attribute deck. Vowels, Flame Bells, Fire Kings, if you want to throw it in there, right? And Fire Kings. Any deck that's fire and that the monsters do are really good. Volcanic Counter is really good because anytime you take battle damage, you banish a Volcanic Counter, your opponent takes the same amount of damage. So what you want is to get 3 Volcanic Counters in the graveyard, or at least 2 in the graveyard. So when you take damage, your opponent takes twice the amount. So let's say you have 2 Volcanic Counters in the graveyard, your opponent attacks you directly with 4,000 damage. Attacks you with 4,000 attacker, you take 4,000. Now because you have 2 counters in graveyard plus an extra fire monster to properly trigger the effect, both counters vanish and your opponent takes 8,000. You win because your opponent only had 8,000. So that's what makes Volcanic Counter competitive, because it's a way of dealing damage. Of course, you can get a similar effect if you have 2 Magic Cylinders on the field, right? You can't use them together, but you can use one at a time, right? Your opponent attacks with 4,000. You Magic Cylinder, they take 4,000. Then next turn, you set some more cards. The opponent tries to attack you again with that 4,000 Magic Cylinder. Boom! Now you just won because you dealt them 8,000. So any way that helps you get your opponent down to 0, obviously would be a competitive card. Spiritual Fire Art. Tribute 1 fire monster and then inflict damage to opponent equal to that monster's original attack. Not half the original attack, right? Which means whatever attack it has originally printed on the card. Even if the card, if your opponent plays a card effect that has to attack your monster, and because they kind of try to run it over, then you'd be like, all right, well, I'll just tribute it with this card since it's a fire monster, and you'll take the full damage even though you have the attack. Doesn't matter. You take damage equal to its original attack, just printed on the card. Plus, it's useful in a combination if you use it with, like, Metaphor's Flame, for example. This 2400 attack. That's not bad. He's a fire monster. You play this card, tribute, deal your opponent 2400. Then you pendulum summon. Then you can attack with it. So it has combo capabilities. You can play with like Infernoids, since they're fire monsters. You can banish the special summon, and they tend to have pretty high attacks. So obviously you want to use something like this. I always keep an eye out on this card. I have a whole bunch of them I hold on to, and I do play Infernoids, and I do have this on the side in case I decide I want to throw it in there as a as a type card, right? But it's generally a good card. It's a card definitely worth throwing in any fire-based deck, because the main idea you want to think of is that personally I want to use it on fire monsters that can always resurrect themselves. Let's say there was a continuous spell card that can make a fire monster token. Well, I would love to use this for that token, because at least I'm tributing a token, so essentially it's free of charge. Since I can produce that token over and over again, it's not a problem that I tribute that token. But if I spend trouble summoning like a vocal source or something, some type of exceed monster or synchro monster that's fire, let's say I synchro and make Black Rose and don't use the effect to destroy stuff in here, and then tribute for this, you know, I gave up a really good card that has a really good effect just to try to get some damage. So I'd rather use this fire art on something that, you know, it's worth sacrificing. Plus, it has its use if you just use it to dodge an effect. You know, make something not useless, as it were. Let's say you had a fire monster in the field, and then you point at the sides. They want to play with Jackey to get rid of your monster. Well, obviously that's the best time to play this, because the monster is going to leave anyway, so it's not like you're choosing to get rid of it. The opponent's forcing you to get rid of it, so it's like, alright, well, since it's going to leave anyway, I might as well make use of it. So this is something definitely worth holding on to, because it deals damage, and dealing damage is very important in the competitive scene, because your goal is to win, right? And you have to play a lot of duels, you know, like, let's say 9 rounds of splits. Any amount of ways of dealing damage. Spiritual Water Art is a really good card. Personally, I like to use it with the Pacific's field spell, because it makes a water token. After my opponent plays a card, I get a token. So the token water, I contribute for this. So that way when my opponent plays another card, I get another token. So it's essentially like I played it for free. I still have a token, still have a monster on board. That's 2000 attack, 2000 defense, by the way, which is useful. I can deal damage with that. And then I got this card's ability, which is to look at my opponent's hand and then send one card from their hand to the rear deck, which is great. One, now I know what's in their hand, so I know what they can and can't do. And then I got rid of whatever was a problem, whatever would have given them an advantage. So now I can mess up their strategy and proceed to win, which is something you always want to do competitively. You want to have control of the duel. You want the advantage. You want things to go your way. You don't want things to go your opponent's way. You don't want your opponent to have a good hand. You want him to have a bad hand. So the fact that you could play this to deliberately give him a bad hand makes this competitive, obviously. There's stuff like Goals and Match, which will reduce players to playing only one creature of an attribute. Rivalry Warlords will reduce players to playing only creatures of a certain creature type. What's good about these two cards is that they can help you defend against kaijus, for example, because your opponent can't summon a dinosaur kaiju, for example, on top of your dragon monster that's on your side field, because you have a dragon and you're only allowed to control a dragon on your side of the field. So your opponent can't tribute your dragon to summon a dinosaur kaiju, right? And since there's, if I'm right, there's no dragon kaiju, and more likely most people are playing Gamma Cell anyway. Gamma Cell is Aqua, if I'm wrong. Yeah, Gamma Cell is Aqua. Unless you're playing Aqua type deck, it's not likely your opponent's going to be able to Gamma Cell you, right? So it's a good way to slow down your opponent, prevent them from having too many creatures of different creature types or attributes, but it can also prevent your opponent from summoning monsters on your side of the field that don't share a certain creature type with you. Like for example, some players like to use Flying Sea, which is an earth insect. So Rivalry Warlords would be good. Like you activate Rivalry Warlords, right, before you summon your Zodiac monster, which is the Earth Beast Ward, right? So it's a Beast Ward, summon it. Then you can, now you don't have to worry about your opponent trying to to use Flying Sea on you. So now you can exceed some, and not worry about Flying Sea stopping your Zodiac players, because they can't special summon an insect type monster on your side of the field, because you only have these words on your side of the field. You're not allowed to control them. monsters are not allowed to have any non-Beast Warriors summoning inside field. So that's really good. Another thing you can do is, if you're able to put something in your opponent's side of the field, like one, this card works good with another card. It's called Zombie World. Zombie World makes all monsters on the field and graveyard into zombies, which is very, very good against a lot of decks. Plus, players can't tribute summon monsters unless those monsters are zombie type monsters, the ones in the hands. Alright, so this and this is a combo to prevent your opponent from summoning a whole bunch of monsters. Because as soon as they summon a monster, that monster becomes a zombie, and now they can't summon anything unless it is a zombie. Because the rival rulers won't let you summon stuff that isn't a zombie. And if you're not playing a zombie deck, clearly this is going to affect you. So this is a good 2-card combo, especially if your deck doesn't rely on creature types like that. Like you don't need warriors to exceed something or synchro something, for example. You know, you just need levels to synchro or exceed. Then of course this works well for you. Or let's say you play a Malefic deck. I personally like using this combo in Malefics because, you know, they special summon while I have a field spell, and which has nothing to do with creature type or attribute, right? So then when I summon them, Malefic starters or Malefic Siren, well, they'll become zombies, and that's okay. I only can control one Malefic monster at a time anyway. It's not going to summon more than one, and I only need one at a time. And this 2-card combo will allow me to slow down my opponent capabilities down a lot while giving me an advantage. So that's the whole point. That's what makes these cards competitive, because they give you a great advantage. And you know, it's all about synergy. It's all about having the deck that can properly use these cards. Malefic starters, for example, will protect your zombie world from being destroyed. So you have to worry like an MST or Twin Twister type thing. Even if they Twin Twister, they can only get rid of the rivalry. They won't be able to get rid of these zombie world. So at least you still have the zombie world there to slow your opponent down in case they need to tribute in their deck, or in case they need to they need their monsters to be machine monsters in order to, you know, exceed someone or something. You can use this. Also, something to take into account is link monsters. A lot of the most of those link monsters require monsters of them to be cybers. You can use this against them. Another thing you can use is that this is good against link monsters, because a lot of link monsters are cybers. That's a new creature type, and most decks that it's going to be used to summon link monsters are not going to be all cybers monsters in decks anyway. So this would be good to prevent your opponents from using like burning abyss monsters or something like that, which are fiend types, and prevent them from summoning link monsters that are cybers, because they're separate creature types. So this card is a good way to stop link summoning, right? You can get a similar result using summon limit and ban Pageman. When it comes to monster negating effects, you have stuff like Light Imprisoning, Shadow Imprisoning, and Lose One Turn. Right? They're good for stopping your opponent. Alright, now I'm just going to show you a lot of the cards. I'm not going to explain too much, except I want to talk a little bit about the viruses right quick, because I'm running out of the ability to speak. Viruses, they're definitely competitive, because they have effects that last about 3 turns. What's not competitive about that, right? Any card effect that you can activate and it lasts for a long period of time is competitive. Just like Final Countdown. Activate, pay 2,000, right? And in 20 turns you win. All you have to do is last 20 turns, right? 10 of yours, 10 of your opponents. Of course, that'll be competitive, because the end goal is for you to win, right? the fact that these card effects last for a long time and they can help get rid of monsters, you know, full force virus, Black Debbie, eradicating rid of traps or spell cards for 3 turns. 3 turns of preventing your opponent from having anything. Plus, once you activate them, at the point you activate them, at the time you activate them, you can get rid of a lot of cards at the same time. That's competitive. That's max removal. And any card's max removal will be competitive, obviously. Lightning Vortex, you know, Jackey, you know, these max removal cards obviously will be competitive. You want to have cards that can remove spells and traps because most, as you can see, there's a lot of spells, definitely a lot of traps in this little setup right here. They can give you a lot of advantage, so you gotta have some way of fighting against these cards. You gotta get rid of these advantages, right? MST, Twin Twister, Galaxy Cyclones, Cosmic Cyclone, these are pretty good cards to get rid of these advantages. You got some pretty good field spells since they don't take up your spell and trap zones. Field spells are really good tech cards or floodgates, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm a fan of Pacificity of the Phantasm City because it constantly creates a token just by my opponent playing cards. So by my opponent playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I get an advantage. I get a token. I can use that token however way I want. I can trigger it for card effects. I can attack with it. And if it gets Mirror Force, I don't care. It's a token. After Mirror Force resolves destroying my token, I'll get another token attack anyway. I've done things like that a lot. I say my opponent will Jackey my token, or will Jackey my token while I had another monster. Well, since now I don't have a token anymore, since the Jackey resolved, I get another token. So at least I still have some protection, some void presence. Plus, the field spell does have the ability to let you search out on some spiral spells and traps, which, you know, makes it a really good engine. I just mainly focus on its ability to generate a token, the ability to generate a monster that I can use to fight with, and I don't have to waste too many resources since it's an infinite resource. Obviously, I'm a fan of it. It's definitely a main deck card for me. Necro Rally, Zombie World, pretty good floodgate type cards because they can, you know, slow down your opponent greatly, or just shut down your opponent greatly. Necro Rally is very good against graveyard decks. They'll shut them down quickly, right? And it's searchable with Terraforming. And any other card that can search out field spells, so you can guarantee that get this effect and get this advantage. And again, it doesn't take up your spell and trap zone area, so you have all that free space to do whatever you want, whatever you need. Since it goes in field zone, and might as well use the field zone. It's some extra space, some extra zone on the field that you should utilize. Don't let it go to waste. And there's obviously some really good cards you can just throw in there. And an Advocate of Pacificus if you want to play a field spell main deck. I recommend that. Creature Swamp, Exchange, very good cards. They're definitely competitive because they'll let you take stuff from your opponent and use it against them. So if your opponent summons a really big strong monster that can't be destroyed by battle card effect, oh great, you can use that type of power, right? So take it away from them and use it against them. You don't have a monster in your hand to summon and attack and win for game. You have other cards that are not that useful. Play Exchange. Oh, your opponent has a monster you can summon and it's very useful and can win you the door right now. Well, take it and win. Right? Imagine using this and taking your opponent's Twin Twister from their hand. Now you're able to get rid of their board, get rid of whatever advantages they have. You know what I mean? So definitely, it's worth something. Soul Charge, obviously helps you get your board back. If your opponent wipes out your board, you just play Soul Charge. Not in the same turn unless you already had a board and you try to go for game. Your opponent Mirror Force your board is like, oh, alright. And then next turn, I will play Soul Charge. Or let's say you summon a whole bunch of monsters in your main phase and then your opponent destroy them all. Alright, then you Soul Charge, bring everything back, and then continue making plays and at least build a board for next turn. since you can't attack that turn. So it's a good comeback card, definitely. Dark Bribe, generic counter. Counters are really good. More players should play counters because it's definitely competitive. You know, if you see people play Magic, you can understand counter spells are really powerful, very stable in Magic. So counter traps are very stable in YUGIOH, or should be. Not a lot of people consider counters very stable. They like some of the counter cards, but they don't consider it stable, and they should. So Dark Bribe is something definitely should play. If they ever create a better version, that'd be awesome. But right now, giving my opponent a card in order to counter a spell or trap is a good cost for me. I don't have to discard anything to use it. I don't have to give up life points to use it, so it's a great competitive card. Giving my opponent an extra card means nothing, because I'm getting rid of their resources advantages anyway. That one extra card I give them, it's not going to do much. Solemn Strike, you have to sacrifice some life points, but it does give you a lot of flexibility, gives you a lot of use. It can negate monster cards, it can negate summons. Specifically special summons, like Pendulum Summon, Exceed Summon, Link Summons, Sacred Summons, so forth and so forth. So it's very, very useful. Then you got the Paleozoics. There's a lot of other Paleozoic trap cards, but these two are the best ones to use competitively and generically. Because this destroy spells and traps, you're always going to need that ability. And this one lets you target one face-up card in the field and discard a card and then banish that card that you targeted. Banishing or just removing something without destruction is always useful. But just in general, getting rid of something of your choice instead of it just being specifically a monster or specifically a small trap. The fact you can get rid of anything that's face up. And remember, anything face up is more of a threat than anything face down. Anything face down, as long as it stays face down, it's nothing. Your opponent having cards in their hands, that means nothing. As long as the cards stay in the hand, they're not a threat. Your opponent having cards in the deck, as long as it stays in the deck, they don't mean nothing. It's when they're on the field, face up, being used against you, that's when they're a problem. And that's where a card like this comes in handy. And they have the ability to be summoned back onto the field from the graveyard as monsters. And these monsters, they're normal monsters with 1200 attack, 0 defense. They're aqua water types, level 2s, but they're unaffected by monster effects. So that's pretty decent. Normal monsters are unaffected by monster effects. That is ironic. As you can see, the fact that you can use them for their abilities, but also use them as monsters later on in the duel makes them competitive, because it's reusable resources. You always want the ability to keep having stuff to keep doing stuff. You don't want to play all 5 cards you start off with in the duel, and then that's it. Once you run out of the 5 cards, well, you're more likely to lose, especially if your opponent has at least 1 card left. Let's say it's a level 4 monster and they're attacking you every turn with that level 4 monster. You're unable to quickly draw back into the game. You'll lose, right? So anything that lets you reuse is always competitive. You want that cards that can do more than one thing. That's one thing. Second, you want them to work more than once. Card, let me put it in there right quick, just in case. Lost Winds. Lost Winds can be used more than once. So obviously that's something to look into. That kind of fit the Paleozoic concept. Icarus Attack. Any card in general, I'm just using Icarus Attack because it's a pretty generically good card in what it does. But you need to bring these monsters. So only some decks use it. Trigger one Wing Beast type monster, then target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. The fact that it destroys 2 cards, not 2 monsters, not 2 spells and traps, 2 cards, it's very good. Because it's 1 card that you're combining with another card, a Wing Beast card monster, right? In order to get rid of 2 cards, so it's 2 for 2. But at least you're getting rid of 2 things that are problematic by just playing 2 cards that it's not a problem if you sacrifice them. It's not a problem if you play Icarus attack. You want to play Icarus attack. It's not a problem if you trigger Wing Beast monster because you should have plenty more in your deck to play with, right? As long as you can activate this, you're getting rid of 2 problematic cards on your opponent's side of the field, which is important. So clearly this is competitive when it does 2 cards. Wing Blast, the fact that it can let you target any card, whether it be face up or face down, and put it on top of your opponent's deck is very useful. Putting it on top of your opponent's deck slows them down because that means that they draw that card again, and then hopefully they can play. Well, not hopefully, you want them not to be able to play it again, and then they have to wait till the next turn after that to use it. So you just gain 2 turns of not having to worry about your opponent drawing something good because you made sure they drew something preferably bad, and then they have to wait until the next one to even draw something good, and by then you should already have the advantage, especially if you're in a position where you're trying to attack. Let's say your opponent had a big monster on the field, you have a couple little monsters in the field, you're protecting them, and then you're like, alright, cool, I drew my Wing Blast, set it, in my turn, your turn to draw. Wing Blast that big monster on top of the deck, alright? You got nothing? You in your turn? Alright, good. You just gain a turn right there. Boom, now you draw. Now you have the monster on the field, you can go in there, try to get some damage, and then in your turn, your opponent draws another card. Maybe they drew something good. And you prefer them not to, let's say they don't draw nothing good, then you just gain another turn. So now it's your turn again, boom, now you can attack again. So you just gain 2 turns to attack, which is what you want to use this card for, is to gain 2 turns to attack at least. That's the most you want to get out of this card. It's 2 turns to attack, or at least 2 turns to draw into something that could potentially give you a fighting chance. Because you have to take into account that when you activate this card, you're discarding a card. So that's 2 cards you're getting rid of in order to bounce 1 card on your opponent's side back to the top of the deck. But those 2 cards you sacrifice, those 2 cards, this card and the extra card you discarded for this, that you gave up, hopefully will give you 2 extra turns to draw 2 more cards that will give you a better chance, a better advantage. Something I would definitely want to draw in that scenario would be like the field spell Pacificus, you know, and like maybe Magic Sailor or something useful. That way I would have the advantage when the opponent tries to attack me or deal me damage or plays a card to try to gain advantage. I can gain advantage. And you're gonna need some monsters to negate. So Tree Toad, Cyber Dragon Infinity, Void Ogre, Notorious Beast, even Notorious Mark, even it's not there for you. Start Spark. Anything that can negate card effects or destruction is always good. And then dealing any type of damage is useful. So guys like Cowboy, just like the Volcanic Counter, and Special Fire Art, obviously anything that helps you deal damage is competitive. There's a lot of other cards that deal damage. So you need to take into account any effect that works on either player's turn is definitely competitive. Sometimes you don't have the ability to negate. Negating is awesome, but being able to bounce or disrupt your opponent's players, the ability to make it hard for your opponent to do what they want to do, is just as good as negating something, you know what I mean? Just as good. This is a negate card, which you can use it to negate a normal spell or trap or monster attack, and turn that effect into an MST, into a destroy spell trap card effect. And as long as you have a spell trap, you don't care of it getting destroyed, or let's say the spell trap can't be destroyed, then that's good. You don't have to worry about losing anything. Effects that makes it where your opponent can't use cards is always good. Like this can attack and your opponent can't activate card effects. Same goes with this. You attack, your opponent can't activate card effects. That's always useful. Heavy monsters are hard to beat, you know, which I would classify as Of course, boss monsters. They're semi-uber monsters. The real uber monsters are monsters that are unaffected by spells, traps, and monster attacks. If you throw in the whole they can't be destroyed by battle card effect, that makes them super uber, but just being unaffected by card effects makes a monster uber. But this can't be destroyed by battle.
Mommy told you that you can't have it.
Or card effect. Which is really good, so it definitely makes it semi-uber. Anything that can help you get rid of something without having to attack, or just get rid of something in general. Banishing is a decent way of getting rid of something. But putting anything back into your opponent's deck is way better. It's way better. Banishing is not as powerful in this game as it is in Magic. You banish something in Magic, it's permanently gone. In this game, you banish something, it could always come back, so that's not. So banishing is not as powerful nowadays as it used to be back in the day. So stuff like Chidori, Sky Blaster their effects are better because they put cards back in the deck. Similar to Wingman Blast, putting cards back in the deck. Even using something like Wiretap. It negates a counter trap. It negates a trap card and then shuffles it back into the opponent's deck. This will hurt your opponent's consistency, as well as it'll make it hard for them to. You don't want those cards in your opponent's graveyard, hand, out of play zone, or even on the field. You rather have those cards back in your deck. So any cards that let you put cards back into your opponent's deck is must-have effect. Yeah, monsters that are hard could be because they can't be targeted, they can't be destroyed, or they're unaffected, things of that nature. Obviously, a pop-up. Any monster or any effect that can destroy a whole bunch of cards is also useful. Being able to get rid of stuff in the graveyard. This is really here just to point out the fact that you can use this. It's generic enough to create in any deck. It can summon to level 4s. It's a 2500 attack, 2000 defense dark monster that you can use to activate all three of these. Count any one of these virus cards because they definitely are competitive. This card's effect is good, halving the monster's attack, then gaining that attack. Definitely competitive, but it's mainly there just because you can use it with these, so you definitely should hold on to one of these. Tornado Dragon, the ability to destroy spells and traps during either player's turn is definitely a good card. A monster that's hard to destroy is resolved out in card play, so always good, obviously. And then the ability to take your opponent's monsters is always good. Obviously, Berserk. You don't want stuff in your opponent's graveyard. They could always get those cards back from the graveyard. So you want to make it harder for them. So banishing it, even though banishing is not guaranteed to prevent your opponent from doing anything, because not everything that gets banished stays banished. You know what I mean? But banishing stuff is still better than leaving stuff in the graveyard. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't leave stuff in the graveyard. Do your best to get rid of as much from your opponent's graveyard as possible. You can even use soul relics. Probably up to 5 cards in any graveyard and then banish them. And that's the end of the video.